Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Declare Independence. I want to thank my 55 subscribers who have helped build my channel. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and click that subscribe button. And if you like what you see, make sure you leave a thumbs up, because even if you don't love me, you like the type of content I produce, you're more likely to see more of it from other YouTubers just by clicking the like button. With that, let's get into the video. You're probably wondering, like me, when is the bottom coming? When is the bottom of all the market volatility coming? The bottom of Bitcoin, the bottom of the S&P 500, the bottom of the commodities market. When is this going to happen? The only thing that keeps rising is oil, and eventually that has to come to a screeching halt, right? Well, technically, yes, the oil will eventually fall, but it won't necessarily be from a lack of demand, but because a greater amount of supply available. We don't know exactly when that will happen, but in any case, if you're like me and you're not a 7-8 figure entrepreneur like some of the YouTubers that you watch and admire and aspire to be, and you're trying to make really healthy, smart financial moves now to prepare yourself for this super cycle in commodities, this recession that we're falling into, what should you be doing and when do we buy? Well, first and foremost is knowing what we should be focusing on, right? And I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice, but what all the smart people are doing, they're buying hard assets. They're no longer speculating in the stock market on tech stocks. That doesn't mean that tech stocks won't have another run in the near future. But right now, what all the smart money is doing, and like you've heard before, success leaves clues, right? So what the successful people are doing often should be what you are doing. Not always, right? Sometimes it's good to be a contrarian and be right. But oftentimes successful people, they tend to get it right and leave clues for us to follow. What are they jumping into? Well, one thing I'm not trying to do is time the bottom. It is much easier to catch a wave than it is to catch a bullet, right? We can't catch bullets. We can catch waves. That doesn't mean we catch the wave at the very beginning, but we make sure we ride it all the way into the shore, right? So we get the longest amount of growth from that wave, even if we don't catch it at the very second it started, 800 yards out in the ocean. And so I think it's more important to be in the market ahead of time than try to time it and guess just right, because likely you're going to miss that huge spike in volatility in your favor. So in my opinion, one of the best things you can hold is silver. So I have a couple silver bars here. I don't keep all of the silver I own here at the house, but a couple silver bars. This is a 100-ounce bar. These are kind of expensive, but it's something that helps me have a visual of what I'm trying to do with my finances and have a vision of what I want to accomplish, right? So silver, like gold, has historically been a monetary metal, meaning that it's worth money. You can use it in exchange of goods. And even up until 1964 in the United States of America, most of our coins were made with 90% silver. So constitutional silver literally was money, like the silver was the money. In 1965, that all came to a halt. They no longer do that. There are a couple proof sets that you can find in later years. But long story short, silver has, since the time of people, been a monetary metal right along with gold. Well, that has diverged over time. Gold doesn't have a lot of useful properties. Yes, it is used in small trace amounts in electronics because it's a great conductor of electricity. And yes, it's used for jewelry, but primarily for utility purposes, silver is the metal of choice. It's a lot cheaper. It's also the most reflective substance on Earth, which means what? It's really fantastic for solar panels. So what you may or may not know about solar panels is they all contain silver at this point. Solar panels continue to grow in increasing little amounts in efficiency, and as that efficiency grows, so does the amount of silver that is used in the production of a solar panel. And over the next 10 years, there is a dramatic increase in growth, not just from a residential perspective, but from a commercial perspective. There is a huge demand for solar panels due to ESG regulations that the governments around the world are imposing upon companies for them to be more environmentally friendly, to have proper governance and a proper social structure. And solar panels are a huge part of that. So in the near future, regardless of whether they are the most efficient source of electricity or energy, I think that nuclear is probably the best source of electricity or energy that we can produce as humans up until this point, but solar panels seem to be where the tide is heading. We don't know when the bottom of silver is going to be, but we know a wave is coming. And when that wave comes, the commodities market is going to be flooded by institutional investors, as well as people like you and me that just are trying to hold a couple ounces of silver in our hands to see what it looks like and to know that we have custody of our money. So in my opinion, one of the best things that you can do is invest in silver. It is a lot lower than when I bought it. I bought this 100-ounce bar for a little over $2,500. And now you can get the same 100-ounce bar on eBay, on exchange websites for a few $100 less than what I bought it for. But I anticipate in the coming years, again, my time horizon is not 6 months. I'm not a day trader. I anticipate in the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to see massive growth, potentially 3xing our money. And that's what I'm hoping to do. So one of the things that we have to expect in this recession is the casino is coming to an end. And what does that mean? The way that people were able to get a hold of funding and financing in the past, the amount of leverage that was in the system is coming to an end because interest rates are increasing. Means it's more expensive to get your hands on money. Before 2019, 2020, 2021, money was cheap, meaning you didn't have to pay a lot of interest to be able to borrow huge amounts of money, and so there's a lot of speculation happening. In order for the good assets, something like silver, something like Bitcoin, really foundational companies in America like Google, Apple, in order for them to reach the value that they probably are worth right now, what needs to happen is bad money needs to get chased out of the system. So there needs to be a washing. All these crap coins or expletive coins that are in the crypto ecosystem need to be eradicated more or less for dollars to funnel into real, sound, tangible assets that have intrinsic and economic value, unlike something, that I do have a little bit of money invested like Shiba Inu, right? Shiba Inu doesn't necessarily have the same properties that Bitcoin possesses, and thus something like Shiba Inu, in order for us really to see growth in the right assets and have that real big exponential spike in volatility in our favor, which we're hoping for, bad assets need to be chased out. So we might see a little bit more pain to the downside, and if that's the case, make sure you have money ready to be able to dollar cost average into it. Now, it's tough to dollar cost average into a 2,500-ounce bar of silver, but you don't necessarily have to do that. You could buy something smaller, like this is a kilo of silver. I don't know the exact number of ounces a kilo bar of silver is off the top of my head, but this is about 40% of the price. And so this is something that most people could get their hands on if they wanted. But most importantly, don't be afraid to lose a little bit in the short term to gain a lot in the long term. And that's what I think a lot of people are afraid of, is losing 20 to 30% of your money in the short term. Now, if silver dropped from when I bought this, when silver was like $25, $26 an ounce, if it dropped all the way to $15 an ounce, well, yeah, I would have lost like 35 to 40% of my money. But that's pretty much the worst thing that can happen. The best thing that can happen is silver spike to like $150 to $200 an ounce in the future. If silver deposits run out and the demand for silver continues to increase exponentially, the price of silver could potentially skyrocket and I could 5 or 6x my money. Is that worth potentially losing in the short term 30 to 40% of my money? I think absolutely yes. Now, I don't encourage people to invest everything they have. It is important to have money in your bank account for a rainy day, for repairs, for something happens to your car. You have medical bills. It's important to make sure that you are able to take care of your family first. But once those immediate needs are taken care of, do what you can to preserve your purchasing power for the future. And that's what I'm trying to do. This isn't me trying to be a shill for silver, but more or less a shill for being willing to dollar cost average your way into assets that you think are really sound, that you think have a positive upside. As always, make sure you do your own personal research. I don't encourage anyone to listen to a guy in a trucker hat on YouTube, but I do encourage you to be wise and prudent about the things that are happening in the economy, and especially in the United States right now. Make sure you're reading the news and reading from reliable sources getting data from proper sources, not just listening to talking heads from the mainstream media, because it is the only way you're going to really have an idea of what is happening, when's the best time for you to enter the market, and what are the best assets for you to enter into. As always, God bless, guys. Thanks so much and have a great day.